We'll move over to the hate list, which is headlined by Chuba Hubbard, who comes in at just RB24, 57% of the team running back touches last week. It was 89% in Jonathan Brooks' first game back. We got to hear from Chuba and his praise for Brooks and his play week 13.
I mean, just seeing JB back out there and getting out there and doing well, I was really happy for him. He's running great. Obviously, the more experience he gets, the better he'll do. So, I was happy for him.
Tough go for Chuba Hubbard with that fumble, Jay. I mean,
great.
it's been a roller coaster ride because not big expectations for the Panthers this year. He's one of the big bright spots. He gets rewarded with the big contract.
Yeah.
And now Jonathan Brooks is back, and his play has been declining a little bit as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is all going the wrong way. If you have Chuba Hubbard on your team, like I do in seemingly every league, that broke about as badly as possible, that game where his snaps are declining. They want to give Brooks more run. Obviously, they have nothing to play for in terms of the playoffs, so why not give Brooks what he can handle coming off the injury? And then just the fact that he had that moment where he lost them the game, you think that plays into potentially usage going forward too. So, look, I think that Chuba Hubbard, I still think that he's going to get work. He's not just going to be minimalized to 20% of the snaps, but certainly the guy who was, RB2 for much of the season, I'd say that's probably drifting away.
It's a committee. That's what it's probably going to be. The rest, it's going to get closer to that. So if you have Chuba Hubbard and you're approaching the fantasy playoffs, you definitely gotta raise your antennas about that, because Jonathan Brooks, like, even without Chuba Hubbard fumbling the ball, like 9 touches, 41 yards, like you should be like, oh no, he's coming now. Then Chuba Hubbard, 43 rushing yards. That's his lowest total since week 1. He's had a great season, but that's his lowest total since week 1. So, good luck to Jay and all the rest of the Chuba Hubbard fantasy managers out there. Salute.
Yes,
Yeah.
the Chuba Brigade. The other problem is they're 12.5-point dogs
Right,
against
yes.
Philadelphia, who might have the best. I think they probably do have the best defense in football the way they're playing now. And so if you're needing to bet on who is going to be the guy who is getting receiving work when they're in catch-up mode, I think that's going to be Jonathan Brooks.
I agree. Rachaad White next up on the hate list. He's RB26. Yes, they have the Raiders, but since Tampa's bye, they've had 2 games since then, Lawrence. He only has 33% of the running back touches in those 2 games. It's been the Bucky Irving show. We've always said with Rachaad White, the value in him was the volume. The volume's gone.
The value in him was catching all them screen passes, catching passes at the line of scrimmage. You see on the screen here, since week 11, Bucky Irving has now overtaken Rachaad White in snap percentage, and that wasn't the case for the first half of the season. It was just Bucky Irving getting big chunks, being efficient, and them kind of being like, we don't care who's in on third down. We don't care who's in at the goal line. We kind of see these guys the same, but now it's kind of tipped in Bucky Irving's favor, which we've all expected on this show. We've talked about it all year. During that stretch since week 11, Rachaad White's only seen 2 targets. 2 targets, not even receptions. Targets. This is a guy that caught 70-plus passes last year, and he can't get 2 targets in 4 weeks. So definitely got to put him on the hate list.
Yep. The other issue, too, is that if Bucky Irving is getting the lion's share of the carries, like they're inching towards 7-point favorites in this game against the Raiders, then after that, it's a tough game against the Chargers. But their last 3 games, they'll be favored. They'll be favored against the Cowboys, then home Panthers, home Saints. So I think this is going to be the Bucky Irving show clearly the rest of the way.
Our last running back here, Gus Edwards, just sneaks into the top 30 at RB29, Jay. The problem for the Gus Bus is the Chiefs are allowing a season league-low 57 rush yards per game, 3.3 yards per carry to running backs this season. And Gus Edwards isn't really one of those guys that he could break a big one for you and kind of break that mold.
No, I mean, Gus Edwards is the epitome of a touchdown-dependent running back where he's not going to be super efficient. The Chiefs have an excellent run defense. They have a really poor pass defense lately. We'll see what the status of Ladd McConkey is, because that'll alter the game plan clearly. But no, the idea that your typical running back situation where a lead guy like J.K. Dobbins goes down, you expect someone to come in and replace his work. Gus Edwards just doesn't really just give you that upside because of the type of player that he is.
Yeah, just so many factors working against Gus Edwards here. You got the Chiefs defense that you talked about. Then there's the fact that he only got 55% of the running back carries last week. He lost 4 of those to Kamani Vidal. Then you had Justin Herbert, who, again, we've been talking about this too. He's upped his. Now, Justin Herbert didn't have a lot of rushing yards last game, but he still carried the ball 5 times. So all of that's taken away from what, in theory you would think is the lead back. Like, he still carried the ball the most, but it's a committee there. And if Hassan Haskins didn't lose that fumble, he might have even been more of a factor. So you have to take that into consideration as well.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.